Hello Jigs and Ghouls, it's been quite some time since I did this kind of a video, but yes, today we have a writing video, and if you want more writing videos from this channel, just hit the like button, so I can know that yes, people want to see that and you should do it more often. But never mind that, we're in the Harmful Writing Advice series of mine, which is about some very common advice we hear tossed out in every writing guide and every author tube video about writing, and why it's useful, of course, and also how it can be misused and totally ruin your writing, because yes, some advice are good, but they can make your writing also very bad if not followed properly. And today we talk about the advice, start with a bang. So what does start with a bang means? It's nothing sexual, it's not that kind of bang. It's actually getting a hook in very early in the book, starting with the action, with a question, with a hook, something that interests the reader so they can continue on with reading your book, getting interested from the first page, because let's be honest, the biggest challenge in our current age is getting somebody's interest and keeping them interested enough so that they continue reading and not, get their mobile phone and look at the notifications that they have there and all the other kind of fun stuff that are on social media. And you know what, starting with a bang makes sense as a piece of advice because of that, because you start with the action, probably in media res, or with the most important element that sets the scene, and so we get to know the characters and some of the stakes early on. And to be honest, the most typical way of starting with a bang is that this way we can have our main character save the cat very early on, and also a sort of glass. So if you follow the saves the cat method, strong start actually establishes all three of the main components, the first three scenes of the book. The setting, it says the setting, it has a save the cat moment as well as sort of glass. A great example for a movie that is doing that is starting with a bang, and I mention the movie because, let's be honest, nobody reads. Alright, I mean, you're watching a YouTube video of how to write a book that other people will read. And like an example of that is Raiders of the Ark. Yes, you know, the very famous Steven Spielberg movie about a humanities professor who is punching Nazis. And it starts with Indiana Jones, our daring archaeologist, who is going through traps in a temple trying to get a relic. And so by doing that, he is showing his skill and his determination to get the relic. And so we get the tone of the movie very early on, that it is a crazy movie about ancient temples and traps and daring do's, and we're hooked because all this crazy stuff are happening, and we have this guy we barely know putting himself into mortal danger, going through traps in order to get a relic, and yeah, that's genius. That sets a lot about the movie, and it's an amazing movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think I have watched Raiders of the Ark 14 or 15 times in my life, so yeah, that should say something. It's a great movie. And of course, by the end of the action sequence, we see him being afraid of snakes. He is sort of glass, sort of, and as well as being betrayed by another archaeologist, and not an archaeologist, he's a relic hunter really, but whatever. And it's very good because if you remember Raiders of the Ark, the next action scene comes after a while. I mean, we have the fight in the bar, which is like in the 30-minute mark, I guess. I'm not quite sure. I haven't watched this movie recently. And also, this is why all James Bond movies start with a similar, very irrelevant action scene, or the slashers start with the murder of a character that we barely know, because that sets the mood and the stakes. So yeah, that's how starting with a bang is. And I mean, okay, in a less action-oriented genre, probably, I don't know, yes, you need a strong start for the book. You have to start in a dramatic moment, that sets the mood and establishes the character. But let's be honest, I have read quite a few books, and in case you're not British, quite a few means way too many, that start with a big fight that contributes almost nothing to the plot. And yeah, that's said by a guy who has started his last two books with a big fight that we know almost nothing about early on. So yeah, guilty as charged. You know, the pot calling the kettle black, and yeah, I mean, I guess when I put these books out, somebody will stumble upon the video and say, hey, wait a minute, alright, guilty as charged. But there is a reason for that, because that's the whole mood of it. Shootouts and crazy future stuff. We also have an opening conflict that gets resolved very soon in some other books I've read, or we have a flashy opening that does not match the rest of the book. Because let's be honest, if your book is a sizzling mystery about a police officer trying to find out who is I don't know, who's running a crime ring, and it's about research and procedural or something, starting with the said officer shooting up, chasing and shooting at bank robbers, is not exactly what sets the mood for this type of a novel or a movie, even though it's a band, but it's relevant. Or you know, if you set something up and you follow with it late in the book, that's also another minus. So yeah, all these things may work in a movie, but a book is not a movie. I mean, yes, you can start with a flashy action sequence, and this will work in a blockbuster, but books are less about writing a big explosion happened, and more about engagement on a more internal level, I guess. Your book's bank is not about special effects, because you know what, you're writing it, you're reading, not watching it. It's about getting the reader into the character's shoes, setting the tone, and make the reader care for the stakes and the characters. And then you have to keep the tension on, keep asking questions, maybe answering some of those questions in order to keep the hooks into the reader's attention. That's how it works. Easy, right? That's why. No, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But yeah, the whole idea is that you have to keep the reader interested in your opening, and having a big chase with explosions is not as interesting in a book as in a movie, or anything else for that matter. And I had a video quite some time ago about great openings. I'll leave a link, and maybe you want to watch it afterwards. And I'll give you an example of a great opening, as well as a big offender of what I'm thinking about. A Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin. If you remember this book, it starts beyond the wall. We have the White Walkers jumping on some Night Watchmen, which yeah, proves me right when I say that Game of Thrones was The Walking Dead only with better costumes, but whatever. It's a zombie survival horror with people fighting each other instead of the zombies. And we have this opening scene, and that's sort of set something up. Only we go beyond the wall 2 books later. Seriously, at this point, I had forgotten the zombies do exist. And yeah, if we have the complete series and binge read it, I know. It's me laughing at that, but believe me, I've been reading Game of Thrones since 2004. I'm laughing at to drown the pain away, I guess. Yeah, if we had the complete series and we were binge reading it, it would have been no problem. It would have been like, oh, last week I read about zombies attacking Night Watchmen. Oh, and here they come. Great. No, it's not like that. It's I say, yeah, that's a bad example. because it's not working for the book of A Game of Thrones. It doesn't come up at all, I believe. However, after this exciting scene, we get to a perfect next chapter, where we meet Eddard Stark and his family. Eddard Stark is killing the deserters on his own without an executioner, and build the characters. That chapter really builds the characters. We learn that Eddard Stark is honest and honorable. We meet his children, and we have a lot of foreshadowing for the future. We have a hook in there, the direwolves, and of course the main struggle of the book, it ties here because A Game of Thrones is about an honest man in a court of vipers, and we all know how this ended. If you go back and read these two chapters back to back, you realize what a great start is. It starts with a tense scene in a battle, and also chapter that sets the mood and foreshadows a lot of what's happening. But the chapter that is magnificent is not a bang. It's a great chapter. So yeah, if you want my advice on this, you should start with a bang. But start with a bang that fits your novel, your story, and your readers, and not the movie adaptation of the book you're writing. If it is not working as a movie, a scriptwriter will fix it. Just write a perfect bang for your book. I'd love to hear your opinions about this. If you have any different opinions, feel free to share them. Like, share this video, subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.